So coming to us now is James Ahabyona. Just make sure I've pronounced that correctly. He co-founded The Economic Misfit, a Pan-African knowledge hub that is built on a commitment to generating analytical and relevant knowledge for the development of the African continent. So he's bringing solutions, a think hub for the development of the African continent. James, over to you.
Okay, hello.
Hi, James, you have 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, Don Grant, for the invitation to this great platform. I've learned a lot from the previous speakers, and it's really a privilege to access such insights and knowledge on the arts sector and even on Nigeria's economy. Yeah, so personally, I'm a final year student pursuing a degree in development economics at Makerere University in Uganda. And a brief background about myself. I first did a diploma in civil engineering, and as I was studying the engineering field, I realized that I wanted to do something that would contribute to the development of our country and the rest of the continent of Africa. And that's why I had to sit down and think, what do I really want? And as I searched through myself, I developed a passion for economics and development economics, and ever since I got that passion, I decided to contribute to, okay, it unlocked my curiosity, and through that I've been able to work on different things, the Economic Misfit and other programs with my peers. So basically today I'm going to be talking about the informal sector in Africa, and this is really a huge part of Africa's economy and many other developing countries. When you look at Uganda, my country, about 75% of the population is employed in the informal sector. And majority of the people there are young people and women. For example, when you're moving in the streets of Uganda, you'll find a street hawker selling something. When you are in the taxi, moving somewhere, there will be someone that will sell to you water or a sachet. So it's something that is around us, although there is a perception around, I think it's around the globe, or even within the setting in Africa, I don't know about other places, that the informal sector is something that is illegal. And if you check out the images on social media or wherever, when you're trying to search about the informal sector, you'll find images of women being caned as they sell things on the street, which is something very heartbreaking, because we as the African continent, we are struggling with a problem of unemployment. And if people fail to get employment, they have to find ways to survive. And if they can't get employment formally, they will have to resort to the formal sector, where they can easily get their goods, sell them on the street or any other ways. So really, as we are looking at the informal sector, we as policymakers, as leaders, and as the Black community, we should look at the informal sector as something that has potential to create employment to many of our people on the African continent, and then also something that has huge potential to cause development on our continent, because it's employing so many people in the agriculture sector. And even when we look at the informal cross-border trade that is happening across the continent, we see that this is not something that we should avoid, but it's something that we need to get hold of, and see ways through which we can unlock the potential that is hidden there. So there are some challenges as I'm going to be talking about some of the innovative solutions that we can use to formalize the informal sector. There are still challenges and barriers to the formalization process. For example, the regulations, some of the regulations that are used to regulate businesses are sometimes are not inappropriate and out of context. And when people look at these regulations, they don't align to what they are doing, and they are not interested. So when we look at the cost of registering a business and the bureaucracy involved in registering a business, it is just so tiresome and running from one office to another. Imagine you want to register your business and you've just made profits that in a day that are not more than $1, but someone wants you to pay about $15 to register your business. It's not something viable. So, and then also they require a lot of information from you, birth certificates, wedding certificates. And when we look at all these things that they need, people who are living at the margin of life, and they're asking a lot from you and a lot of money from you, it kills the motive for people to formalize their work. So some of the ways through which governments across Africa and other development partners can use to formalize the informal sector, I think the basic of everything should be at improving the welfare of the people in the informal sector, as they also promote the formalization. Because the issue is not about the formalization. The real discussion should be what is leading these people to go into the formal sector. If people are not accessing education, if they are not accessing health care, and they are left there alone, they can't survive. So if we can boost their livelihood and they be able to access education, they be able to access healthcare, I believe their productivity increases. There is something that would be done to unlock the potential in those people, so that they don't only look at ways of surviving. They would be built up with the capacities to be able to be self-sustaining and maybe get formal jobs, or even unlock their creative skills through the education that they are able to attain. And then also on that point, as you are improving the livelihoods of the people, also you need to make the process of formalization gradual. It should be a step-by-step process where people can see the importance and the value of formalization. For example, if you get the informal entrepreneurs and they form associations which have some kind of a formal status, and through these associations, they be able to access microcredit services, and also they access insurance services. These entrepreneurs would be able to realize the value that is in formalizing their businesses, and through that, the desire and the passion to pursue formalization would be realized, and these entrepreneurs would get interested in formalizing their businesses. So I think one of the basics where we have to start from, if we want to formalize the informal sector, is improving the livelihoods of the people. And the other thing that we should look at is making making people understand what formalization is, because people don't understand what it is. It's not understandable. It's written in the books. People don't know how to read and write, and you're bringing your regulations in English, and people maybe they know their local languages, or if this information is decoded into the languages that people understand, I believe people would be able to understand the regulations and the steps through which they would be able to regulate their businesses. And then also an example of immunization in Africa, because in the 80s many people used to die from the killer diseases, that is polio and measles and whatever. But right now, because of the massive campaigns of awareness and immunizing majority of the people on the continent, we have seen a decline in the number of people dying from these illnesses. So this is the same thing that would happen if there would be a massive campaign telling people why they need to formalize their businesses. Because the basic thing is that people don't understand why they should formalize. So we need those campaigns to create awareness. The public servants should stop being in their offices and enjoying the ACES and get to the ground, involve with the people and discuss with them. For example, when you look at the microcredit service providers, they reach the people in the slums and they tell them, we can give you a loan at this interest rate and all that. So why is it that the people who are in office are enjoying the office space, are not reaching to the people and letting them know why it's important for them to formalize their businesses? And then also we need to look at the working conditions. During the COVID-19, there were social distancing measures that were recommended by most governments and health workers. So, and yet the informal sector is a sector that depends on contact between people. So many of the people were affected and they ran out of the business. There were no social protection for those workers or any assistance programs that were given to people who had informal businesses or who are employed in the informal sector. So, in other words, what I'm trying to mean is that if we improve the working conditions in the informal sector, if we can bring in protection for the workers in the sector. For example, we give them to save for their retirement and they have the regulations. It helps version of the people working in that sector. And as they work hard, these sectors would be growing and growing, and as they grow, they becoming formal would not be a mystery, but it becomes a reality that they have to pass workers and improving the conditions, create where people can work their contract that they won't be easily. They are throwing in their best. So it requires the government to be intentional. It needs the commitment of the governments to come in and support these people, to support these workers. And I believe through that, we would get a lot of results and the continent of Africa would really develop and see huge potential when they have formalized the informal sector. And that, I think that's what I had prepared for on the informal sector. You can bring it up.
Okay, thank you very much. You're complete. One of the questions I wanted to ask you, hearing you during your presentation, you talked about the transition from the informal economy to the formal economy. Are there any charitable organizations that can assist in this kind of transition to provide training and development and help the people to transition from one side to the other?
I beg your pardon?
You talked about going from informal to formal, so registering their businesses. Are there any charitable organizations that can step in there to help with that education and the transition and help people to shift from formal to informal, from informal to formal, to help them register their businesses because they don't quite understand the process themselves or they can't read?
Yeah, so thank you very much. I think the point you've highlighted is really key, because most of the governments may not have sufficient resources to run most of these programs. So also international organizations and other local organizations need to support the government to do this work. Maybe training these informal workers and entrepreneurs, business management skills, and other skills they need, and the knowledge they get from those trainings would help them realize the value that is in formalizing their businesses. So I think there are some organizations that are working on that, although we need more people to be involved in this and be able to unlock the potential in the informal economy.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Thank you so much for that.